What is it? Urine the bladder, it is uterus, and that is rectum. And you can see that uterus, it has fundus, this part, fundus, then body, corpus, and it is this one is cervix. And it is fallopian tube, that is fallopian tube, and fallopian tube attached to ovary. And fallopian tube has pars intramuralis. Sorry, it is intramuralis, but it has another name, pars uterina, inside of uterus. Pars uterina, then isthmus, narrowest part near of uterus, ampule, ampulla tubuterina, and infundibulum. And infundibulum has opening, that is abdominal opening of fallopian tube, and this opening surrounds with fimbria tubaria. These fimbria help to take oocyte from abdominal cavity and conduct it into the fallopian tube. It is ovary, that is ovary, ovarium, and it is vagina. They are internal female genital organs. And First of all, how to take it correct, this preparate. That is uterus, it is clear, that is fallopian tube. And that is fallopian tube, it is ovary. That is ovary, here and here, ovary. That is broad ligament of the uterus, and it is wall of vagina. That is vagina, and it is cervix. It is cervix. How to take it correct? Ovary should be behind posteriorly from broad ligament. Broad ligament laterally from uterus, and behind of broad ligament we have ovary. That is why this surface of uterus is posterior and it is anterior surface. That is correct position. If you take uterus this way, what is wrong? Now, ovary is in front, anteriorly from broad ligament. That is correct. That is not correct. Should be this way. That is normal position. One again. Ovary. Ovary, ovarium. Greek name ophoron. It consists of two ends. One end near of uterus, that is why it is extremitas uterina. And this end joined with the uterus with the help of ligament. This is proper ovarian ligament, ligamentum ovarii proprium. Opposite end, this end, is near of fallopian tube. It is fallopian tube, and fallopian tube ostium abdominale tuber is near of the ovary. That is why this end is extremitas tubaria. Next, it has two borders. Anterior border attached to mesovarium, that is mesentery of the ovary, mesovarium, and posterior border is free. That is why anterior border margo mesovarium and posterior border margo libera. And ovary, that is normal position of ovary, and ovary has two surfaces. This one is lateral surface and it is medial surface. Lateral and medial surfaces. Now, fallopian tube. In Latin, tuba uterina. In Greek, it is salpinx. That is why peritoneum, this part of peritoneum, it is, which is attached to fallopian tube and surround it, it has intraperitoneal position. It makes mesosalpinx, that is mesentery of fallopian tube, mesosalpinx. And I already said that inside of uterus, fallopian tube has name pars uterina, near of uterus, isthmus, widest part that is ampulla tuba uterina, and it is isthmus, infundibulum, and infundibulum surrounds with fimbria. They are fimbria tubaria, and it should be opening, ostium abdominale tuba. Opposite opening in uterus, ostium uterinum tuba. Next, uterus. Upper part of uterus, which is above of fallopian tube, look here, that is right fallopian tube, it is left fallopian, this one, left fallopian tube, and this part of the uterus, which is above of fallopian tubes, that is fundus uteri. Next part, that is a body, corpus uteri, and lower part, that is cervix. Border between body and cervix, this place, that is isthmus uteri. And cervix has two parts. This part of cervix, which is insert into vagina, that is portio vaginalis. And above of vagina, this part of cervix, that is portio supravaginalis. I think you know that uterus in Greek, that is metra. That is why external cord, that is peritoneum, which is supplies uterus, has name perimetrium. Muscular part of the uterus has name myometrium. And mucous membrane, which is inside of uterus, has name endometrium. Another Greek name of uterus is hystera. That is why operation when we need to remove uterus, cut it from human body, that is hysterectomia. We remove uterus, hysterectomy. Some words about ligaments of the uterus. I already said you ligaments of the ovary, yes? What is this ligament? Proper ligament of the ovary. Between extremitas uterina and uterus we have proper ligament, ligamentum ovarii proprium. Может, половину возьмите? Прошу, спасибо. Opposite end of the ovary has suspensory ligament. Ligamentum suspensorium ovarii. These two ligaments, they are ligaments of the ovary. And now ligaments of the uterus. Ligament which is laterally from uterus. Here, all of this peritoneum, and here. That is broad ligament. Ligamentum latum uteri. And another ligament, it's round ligament. Ligamentum, help me in Latin. Round, teres uteri. And this ligament attached to the body below of fallopian tube. Look here, that is fallopian tube. And below of fallopian tube, we can see round ligament, ligamentum teres uteri. That is on the left side. And on the right side, look here, that is fallopian tube. And this ligament, that is round ligament, ligamentum teres uteri. Ligamentum teres uteri. Give me a piece of paper, please. Thank you. My diagrams only for your understanding. First of all, look here, that is uterus. It is uterus. It is vagina. That is frontal view. It is fallopian tube. This is fallopian tube. It is fallopian tube. And below of fallopian tube, it is peritoneum, comes to the uterus and makes broad ligament. That is broad ligament. 2 layers of peritoneum which come to uterus laterally. In front of broad ligament, we have round ligament, ligamentum teres uteri, and this ligament attached to the uterus below of fallopian tube. Here it is fallopian tube, and below of fallopian tube, here it is round ligament. And at the base, that is the base of broad ligament, base of the broad ligament, connective tissue goes to the neck of the uterus and fixed neck. This connective tissue, which goes laterally to the neck of the uterus, at the base of broad ligament, that is ligamentum cardinale uteri. Ligamentum cardinale uteri. I already said that it is, what is this part of the uterus? That is fundus, it is body corpus, that is cervix, and here it is isthmus, between body and cervix, isthmus. And cervix consists of 2 parts, portio vaginalis, inside of vagina, and above of vagina, portio supravaginalis. Now, I cut in horizontal plane, that is, here it is wall of true pelvis, that is wall of true pelvis. Here it is anteriorly, that is pubic symphysis, that is pubic symphysis. Posteriorly, here it is sacral bone, sacral, os sacrum. Behind of pubic symphysis, which organ is in abdominal cavity, in cavity of true pelvis? That is urinary bladder. Behind of urinary bladder, uterus, and behind of uterus, that is rectum. And now, if we cut it at the level of neck, that is the neck of the uterus, neck. Oh, first of all, peritoneum, which is peritoneum, which comes to the uterus, supplies it anteriorly and posteriorly. That is why uterus has intraperitoneal position. And in the region of cervix, we have ligament between sacral bone and uterus. Here it is sacra-uterine ligament, ligamentum sacra-uterinum. Here and here is the same. And ligamentum recta-uterinum, ligamentum recta-uterinum. They fixed neck of the uterus posteriorly. Between pubic symphysis and urinary bladder, we have ligamentum pubo-vesicale, and it's continuous backward and fixed neck anteriorly, that is ligamentum vesico-uterinum. And I already said that it is ligamentum cardinale uteri, at the base of broad. These 2 layers of peritoneum, that is broad ligament, and at the base of broad ligament we have ligamentum cardinale uteri. That is why neck of the uterus is fixed, it's not mobile, it's not change position because a lot of ligaments surround neck of the uterus. But body and fundus of the uterus, they are mobile, they are not fixed, so hard like neck. That is why, look here, that is pubic symphysis, here it is urinary bladder, and that is uterus, here it is fundus and cervix, and here it is vagina, and that is rectum, and canalis analis. And you already know that peritoneum supplies a rectum, posterior fornix of vagina, posterior side of uterus, anterior side, and goes to urinary bladder and goes to anterior abdominal wall. This pouch is Douglas pouch, excavatio recto-uterinum, and here it is excavatio vesico-uterinum. That is normal position of uterus, and we can see that between body of the uterus and cervix, neck of the uterus, we can see angle. And this angle opens anteriorly, forward, anteriorly. That is anteflexion, that is normal position of uterus, anteflexion. And in this case, fundus looks the same forward and upward. That is anteversion, that is position of uterus where fundus looks forward, that is anteversion, and this angle between body and cervix, that is anteflexion. Another position. If urinary bladder is full with urina, that is large urinary bladder, look here, that is urinary bladder, and in this case, position of uterus is changed. This angle between body and cervix, the same looks forward, that is anteflexion, but fundus of uterus looks backward, that is retroversion. Retroversion, but anteflexion. Clear it is. That is the same normal position, normal. It is in case where urinary bladder is full with urine. And abnormal position, that is urinary bladder, and that is uterus. And this, in this case, retroversion and retroflexion. This angle between body and cervix looks backward in direction to rectum. That is abnormal. It may be problems in time of pregnancy, in time of delivery of fetus. That is abnormal position of uterus. Anteversion and anteflexion, that is normal. Retroversion but anteflexion, the same normal. And retroversion and retroflexion, that is abnormal. If I cut broad ligament, here it is, we will see superiorly that is fallopian tube, and that is peritoneum, which is surround fallopian tube. That is broad ligament. Clear it is. Okay. I cut here superiorly fallopian tube, inferiorly broad ligament, and posterior layer of broad ligament attached to the ovary. Here it is ovary, ovarium, that is ovary. And these two layers of peritoneum which attach to the ovary, that is mesovarium. And upper part of broad ligament between mesovarium and fallopian tube, that is mesosalpinx. Number one, mesovarium. But peritoneum not surround ovary. Peritoneum just attached to anterior border of the ovary. That is why this border of the ovary has name margomesovarium. But peritoneum not surround ovary. ovary supplies with epithelium, not with peritoneum. But peritoneum surrounds fallopian tube, and this part of peritoneum, this upper part of broad ligament, that is mesosalpinx. Here it is mesovarium, and here it is mesosalpinx. Both of them, they are parts of broad ligament, ligamentum latum uteri. Well, again, my diagrams only for your understanding. That is why here it is, if it is necessary to show that is cervix, here it is body of the uterus, and this position is anteflexion, and fundus looks forward, that is anteversion. Last moment. Here, that is cervix. Oh, I think you know that uterus has cavities, and this cavities continues into the canal, cervical canal, and cervical canal opens into vagina. And if we cut, here it is, we will see this moment that is cervix of the uterus, and here it is ostium, that is ostium uteri, that is opening where cervical canal opens into vagina, and that is why neck of the uterus consists of two lips. It is anterior and posterior. I draw in another view. That is cervix, here it is anterior lip, and that is posterior lip. And then that is the uterus. And here it is vagina, anterior wall of vagina, and here it is posterior wall of vagina. And we can see that between cervix, that is portio vaginalis, and vagina, we can see two fornix, anterior fornix and posterior fornix. Anterior fornix not supplies with peritoneum, but posterior fornix supplies with peritoneum. Do you remember? That is why here it is peritoneum present. That is why, and here it is peritoneum not continues to anterior fornix. That is why we can make punction of posterior fornix and Douglas pouch through this posterior fornix. And this lip, posterior lip of cervix, is narrower and longer, and anterior lip of cervix, it's wider and shorter. Try to see it here. I already said that here it is ovary, that is why it is posterior wall of vagina, and this is posterior lip of cervix, that is labium posterior. And you can see that it is narrower than anterior lip. And anterior lip is shorter because it is only here, and posterior lip is longer. Here it is posterior lip and anterior. Anterior shorter and wider, posterior narrower and longer. This is posterior fornix of vagina, and here it is anterior fornix of vagina. And last, wall of vagina has short oblique folds. Short oblique folds. And these oblique folds we can see on anterior wall, and the same folds on posterior wall. Names of these folds, they are ruga vaginalis, and this ruga vaginalis makes two columns, columna rugarum, anterior and posterior. They are walls in vagina. In cervix uteri, that is canal, canalis cervicalis, it has plica palmata, that is main longitudinal fold, and this main fold, it has short oblique folds. these folds in mucous membrane in cervix, that is plica palmata. It's look like folia of the palm. Main longitudinal fold and short oblique folds, plica palmata in cervix and columna rugarum in vagina. Well, that is all.